Ricky Flex, we have an awesome top billing after a couple of weeks off. We have a top billing of the greatest Leonardo DiCaprio roles in honor of his role as Randall Mindy in Don't Look Up, which you just heard our awesome review. Let's get to the order. So this is gonna be an easy. There's no rules for this draft. There's just any role that Leo has been in. He's strictly been in movies, true leading man, and that makes it easy for us to pick. No TV, no nothing. All right. I have a coin. Ricky.
Yeah, no growing pains, Dr. O.
No growing. Oh, forgot about that. Yeah.
Okay, go.
Well, you're calling it, Flex.
Yeah. Tails.
Tails.
Yes, first pick.
Finally, Ricky Flex gets to call a coin toss, and he has 100% success rate. You got to be happy with that, Flex.
It's the curse of whoever flips the coin, Dr. O. It's the curse.
I'm gonna have to flip it again next week, and
we'll see
what happens. So, Ricky Flex, you are now on the clock with the first overall pick in the Leonardo DiCaprio roles draft.
Okay, so I think this is my favorite Leo role. I think it's his most complete role. That's crazy to say. And obviously, if I'm picking a Leo role, I have to pick with the first overall pick. I have to pick what I think is his best. And he didn't even win an Oscar for it. I'm going Jordan Belfort, Wolf of Wall Street. Dr. O knew it. Yeah, if you're new to this podcast, Wolf of Wall Street is probably my favorite movie of all time. Scorsese, yes, it runs a little long, but with Leo doing what he's doing as Jordan Belfort, I think it's well worth all 2 hours and whatever, 40 minutes or whatever it is. I think it's a complete role. This was a stacked year in Best Actor noms. Like, you had Fassbender for Steve Jobs. You had the obviously winner of Dallas Buyers Club, Matthew McConaughey. Like, this was a stacked year. It's tough for him to win. The Oscars have something against Leo, maybe because he was the heartthrob of the 90s. I don't know. But this is, for me, his best and my favorite role.
Yeah, this was my number one as well. It had to be. It was what people thought. So once again, this is like Leo. It's like a meta type of thing where you think that Leo is this playboy type of like leading man off screen, where he's with the younger, beautiful women. He lives this lavish lifestyle. And then it's also him just exploding with the Jordan Belfort role in a complete Martin Scorsese like party of a movie. Yes, easily was my number one, although the next 2, 3, 4, 5 are really jumbled up for me. So that's a great first pick.
Yeah, having the back end of the 2 and 3 is huge, I think, for Leo. But I think I'll be okay with the 4th and 5th overall picks. But then after that, it'll go to the next tier, I think. Just the first pick was so strong in my eyes.
Okay. Great first pick, Ricky. Glad to have the draft back. It's now on to my first round pick, the 2nd overall. And I will be going with Billy Costigan. I'm going Billy Costigan. Leo in The Departed. This is my number 2 Leo role. I think he was actually the best performer in The Departed. And that is a cast that includes obviously Damon, Nicholson, Farmiga. It's just Baldwin. I don't know. You could just keep listing all the names in that cast. But I thought, as the conflicted character he had the toughest role to play, and he played it with such intensity. And this is coming off The Aviator, where he's like proves he's the leading man. Sorry to tease a pick, but this was where it's like, okay, he's as good as advertised, in my opinion. He is as good as advertised. If you are stealing the show in a Scorsese movie, his second collaboration with Martin Scorsese in 2006 here, Scorsese finally wins the Oscar for best director. Yeah, so I'm very happy to have Billy Costigan as my pick. Your thoughts, Ricky?
I completely agree. This was my number 2 as well. I think that this was an interesting year for the Oscars, right? 2007 Oscars. So, like you just mentioned, Scorsese. This was like, all right, this is Scorsese's Oscars, right? So this wasn't going to be the one where Leo's going to take the cake, probably. This is going to be centered around The Departed, Best Picture, Departed, Best Director. But then when you get to Best Actors in this Oscars, you're thinking, well, Billy Costigan in the best movie of the year, in the movie that Scorsese, he's going to get nominated, right? No, because Dr. O, he was already getting nominated for Blood Diamond.
Oh my God.
And I don't want to tease a pick, because obviously I like Blood Diamond, but I'm just saying, like, that's why, like, he was already going to get nominated for that. So the Oscars being the Oscars, before, like, ScarJo, obviously a couple years ago, she was nominated for 2 things. In 2007, they still weren't really going to do that. So it just stinks that you see Mark Wahlberg getting a nom here, but not the best performer in The Departed, and Billy Cossack and Leo DiCaprio getting shown recognition by the Academy.
Yeah, I don't mean to dismiss Mark Wahlberg's performance there when I didn't list him, but I do think Leo was better. It's just you had Wahlberg had the scene stealing roles, limited time in the movie. When he does, he also explodes on the screen, and he's so bombastic, and he's so he's so, like, and he has such an impact at the end of the movie too, where it makes you have that oh crap moment. But Leo, this is Leo's movie. I thought it was his movie.
Easily. Yeah. Easily.
Now on to the second round here. And this is where I'm super conflicted. The next 3, 4 for me. 1, 2, I thought, I was like, okay, I got that. 3 and 4, it's tough. Because there's one I think the public expects that I also enjoy, but there's another role I love. No, I'm going to go. Wow. I'm going to go Rick Dalton. That Ricky, this opens the door. Ricky Flicks, I know, loves the performance he's going to take next or the one after, but I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood so much. This is one of my favorite Tarantino, and this is my favorite Tarantino and DiCaprio collaboration. I think there's a lot of, like, Oscar moments, quote unquote, in this movie, whether it's him in the trailer going nuts, throwing the drinks, saying he's going to quit drinking. There could be the scenes where he is doing the Western inside of a comedy that is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I just, my jaw drops during those scenes. And seeing him alongside Brad Pitt and those two playing off one another, one of the best, like, duos in the history of cinema in a movie, I would say. I'm going to go more with my heart here. Rick Dalton, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
This is, besides Wolf, I think this is my favorite Leo movie. Besides Wolf of Wall Street. The Departed, actually. Oof. The first 3 we picked are great. Rick Dalton, though, as Leo performance-wise, is my number 5.
Okay, so this was my 3. And then you're about to pick my number 4. I'm trying to think what I have. I have 5, maybe something different from you, but we're going to find out after this, your next 2 picks here.
Yeah. I guess I'll go with my second pick, but Dr. O, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention. This is one of the biggest Oscar snubs I can in recent memory. Obviously this was Calvin Candy's Django Unchained. I love this performance and the limited screen time he had. Yes, Christoph Waltz won the Best Supporting Actor. Christoph Waltz and Tarantino have this chemistry that you rarely find. But I think Leo's performance as Calvin Candy is just so iconic and has the moments similar to what Mark Wahlberg we were just talking about in The Departed. But the acting prowess of a Leo is just so much better that he deserves an Oscar. And obviously, Christoph Waltz was great in this movie, but I feel that Calvin Candy was even better. And I think that time is helping his case here. And I think 10 years ago, or like when this movie came out, I would have other, or not 10 years ago, but like 5 years ago even, I would have other Leo roles ahead of it. But I think just as time goes on and as I see Django more and more, it's like the only scenes I want to watch from Django, or the scenes I have to watch, are with that Calvin Candy.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was the one I was so conflicted on taking, but I think I went with the movie I like even more. And I do like Once Upon a Time more than Django.
Same for the record.
So when I take Rick Dalton over him, like, it's also because, like, when I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's one of the few times I wasn't like pointing at the screen a la Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where I'm like, that's Leonardo DiCaprio. I thought he was like totally Rick Dalton in that movie. Calvin Candy, like, yes, like it's him, first of all, taking a back seat in a movie, but at the same time, not really taking a back seat because he knows he's stealing every scene. I think he didn't get nominated because Leo, in every other movie he's been in, is the leading man for the most, I would say, in almost every other movie he's in, or at least at that point. So I know the Academy a lot of times doesn't nominate those huge names, or doesn't give the Oscar, I should say, or the win to those huge names that are in supporting roles, because they expect they're going to get their recognition as leading actors, right? So I think that's kind of why he got snubbed. He obviously deserved it, and then he went obviously balls to the wall with this performance, and you could tell he was having fun with it. He cuts his hand, and he's like obviously rolling through it. He's Ricky's smearing his face. Watch the YouTube.
Regan cuts his hand open, real blood, and then Janamona just.
Yeah, it's disgusting. When he rubs it on her face, and you rewind. Yeah,
Tarantino's just like in the corner, just like, oh my god, this is the best scene ever.
Just holding his toes, like scrunching them as he's watching him do this.
Doctor.
No, that's a great pick, Ricky. He's Calvin Candy. Like that was tough for me to leave off the board. You have a strong one too with Belfort and Candy. But yeah, it's on to your third.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I think for most people, my third is not near their top fives, but for me, I think that this is my number 4, and I think this is the first time when Leo said, you know what, I am this good, I don't need a Daniel Day-Lewis next to me, a Tom Hanks next to me. I can own a movie and also kind of do what Daniel Day-Lewis does with the method acting, and it's going to be with Howard Hughes in The Aviator. And
Wow.
Howard Hughes, OCD, the chronic pain from the plane crash that he almost died in, him becoming deaf. This was like an Oscar bait movie with Scorsese, and I think this movie is fantastic. You have the scenes when Leo's naked in a room, not eating anything and just peeing in bottles. He's going all out for this role, physically and mentally, and he really went for the Oscar. Obviously, Ray, Jamie Foxx, you can't really beat that. But I think that this is like the first time when you really see Leo just really say, you know what, I'm taking this movie. I'm going to take a movie and just run away with it, and it's going to be an Oscar contender. And I think Scorsese helped him out, because the year before, or 2 years before, he had Catch Me If You Can, Steven Spielberg, but he had Tom Hanks next to him. He had Gangs of New York, also Scorsese, 2002, but that's with Daniel Day-Lewis, and he steals the show there. And then before that, he was just like the heartthrob of the 90s. You had Titanic, Romeo and Juliet, Total Eclipse, The Quick and the Dead, Basketball Diaries. So you just had the heartthrob Leo, but he's finally making his transition to being the full A-list actor. Doesn't need a Tom Hanks or Daniel Day-Lewis by his side. So my pick's going to be Howard Hughes in The Aviator.
There was this lady who came up to my door trying to sell me some solar stuff. And I'm like, dude, I got to go. And she's like, no, I just talked to my boss. I'm like, no, I got to go. And she wouldn't leave. And I'm just like, I'm closing the door. Like this really weird situation.
Okay.
That's why
I was just bambling on about Howard Hughes and how I love Leo. But I honestly was like, all right, this is getting actually like a little long time here. Classic doorbell in the middle of the pod, but he actually answers it. Okay, 5 minutes go by, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. I was just on the phone thinking, all right, I'll give him a call. But if he's not giving him, if you're not going to pick up the call, another 10 minutes goes by, I might be calling a neighbor saying, all right, neighbor, can you just run over to my brother's house here and see if Dr. Rose here?
You thought I got abducted
in plain sight. I was like, all right, if no one answers, then I'm driving over.
This would have been like police footage. Footage for someone to look back on. Where was Dr. O at noon? They're like, oh, he was on the podcast and he disappeared at this moment. We had the timestamp.
Yeah, but you're back. So fantastic. All right. I just did Howard Hughes. Your third pick here.
Great. That was funny. So going on to my third rounder here. I'm shocked by your Howard Hughes pick. I actually have that at number 7 on my list.
Yeah, see? People
seven.
hate on that.
I don't know. I don't think Leo had come into his own yet. I think he almost went a little bit too balls to the wall with that performance.
You could say that. He was naked, peeing in bottles. You could say that.
Yeah, he was
going
the future. For it. But that was the one that That role like really cemented him though, alongside The Departed as his next one, like where it's like, wow, he's like the real deal. That's
Yeah.
so, and I made a mistake. I said The Departed was his second collaboration. That was his third collaboration with Scorsese.
Yeah, because Aviator, Gangs
Gangs
of
of
New
New
York,
York.
not in that order.
And so my next pick here, I am going to go. Wow, I'm gonna go Teddy Daniels, Shutter Island. I'm gonna go Teddy Daniels, Shutter Island. This is an in-depth role, one that has a little sophistication to it compared to some other Leo roles. It has a psychological thriller element, something I don't think we've seen much from Leo, and almost in a horror-esque movie. And speaking of Scorsese, here comes Shutter Island. I guess critically not up there with his best, I would say, but it's still, I mean, I think it's aged better as the years have gone on. And the big reveal at the end, the amount of like the heartbreak in his story, and it gets better and more rewatchable the more times you see it, and you're looking for those details and how you see like his relationship, his true relationship with Mark Ruffalo's character, and his relationship with Ben Kingsley character. I just I had this as my number five Leo role.
Wow. I'm on the opposite spectrum of you.
Wow,
I like Shutter
disagreement
Island,
episode.
but yeah, no. I think when you're doing a Leo draft, it's not just like the actual role, it's like the importance of the role too. I think there's a lot more important roles that he's done that I would take over Shutter Island and Teddy Daniels. But I do like the pick, but you could have gotten it a lot later. Similar to me, I could have gotten Howard Hughes later.
All right, I'm gonna go up with more. Honestly, probably his best known performance. I'm gonna go Jack Dawson, Titanic. Jack Dawson, Titanic, the one that he splashed onto the scene alongside Kate Winslet. They eventually reunite for a movie I will not name to save potential draft picks. But Jack Dawson, this is like the peak Leo heartthrob stage, and honestly, it was one of the highest grossing movies of all time, and showed his box office appeal, and then how he was someone that was going to be someone you need to look out for, and someone that was going to be a masked monster in the tabloids for the years to come. So Jack Dawson, Titanic.
Maybe like one of your French girls, Jack. Yeah, this is when it was like, all right, 97, heartthrob Leo, just did Basketball Diaries. Like this is Leo. And some girls always think of, or some people always think of Leo as the Titanic, similar to some people always think Robert Pattinson as Frederick, or what was he in the Twilight? Was he Frederick? What was he?
I don't know. I never saw those movies.
Me neither. Whatever.
Edward.
Thank you. Wow, Frederick. Where did that come from? But can you tell that we're getting at the end of the pod? But Leo obviously has come full circle.
That was the name of the guy trying to abduct me.
This was the biggest. This is the biggest blockbuster since or till then. He was the star of it. This is a big one. This had to be picked. This was going to be in my. If you didn't pick it, I was going to pick it in one of my next two.
Yeah, it's like this is if you were a true Leo fan, like this is what you remember him for initially. It's Titanic. I feel like the newer 16, 17-year-olds, I don't even know if they might associate with Don't Look Up. Like the type of movies that Leo makes aren't as popular with younger audiences anymore, with like teenagers. When you think about the things he's made, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he made The Revenant prior to that. It just doesn't seem like he has as much relevance as he used to. You know what I mean? With younger audiences. So that's what I got. Your fourth rounder.
Yeah, good pick. All right, so I'll actually take his sixth nomination and actual first win for the Oscars. I'll take Hugh Glass here. Hugh Glass, obviously, Revenant. Yeah, this is obviously highly controversial because out of all his Oscar noms, this could be his worst performance out of all the Oscar noms. But I'll take it because you know what? Hugh Glass mauled by a grizzly bear, left for dead, like 1800s. Very cool scene. Leo went all out for this role. He ate like raw liver. He slept in an animal carcass. He was in negative degree temperatures. He was going to die in preparation to get this Oscar. He was prepared to die to get this Oscar for this movie. I respect it.
He was willing to have his family receive his Oscar after shooting it. He's like, I know I'm winning for this, but I have to guarantee I'm going to win this.
Correct. So I feel like it should be picked in a top 10 Leo draft. I'm going to pick it, Hugh Glass.
I actually like The Revenant more than a lot of people.
Really?
A lot of people do not like it. Slow, whatever. I think the cinematography is unreal. I love Tom Hardy in that movie. Will Poulter is actually pretty good in that movie as well. Iñárritu coming off Birdman, and you try something as bold as The Revenant. You hear about the extreme shooting conditions that you just discussed. I actually enjoy it. It's not as rewatchable, but like when it's on, I'll watch a few scenes for sure.
Yeah.
Your fifth rounder, Ricky Flex.
Okay, so you picked Teddy Daniels, which saved me because I thought you were going to go a different route. So I don't have to try to persuade you in a couple other Leo directions. So I'll just go what I consider the second best Steven Spielberg movie of all time, Catch Me If You Can, Frank Abagnale Jr. God, I love this movie, and God, I love Leo. This is like the one. This is like if you had to go on a Leo arc, it wasn't Titanic for me. It wasn't The Beach. It wasn't Man in the Iron Mask. It was Catch Me, and it wasn't even Gangs in New York, really. For me, what got me with Leo was Catch Me If You Can in 2002. This movie, I thought he was great. He played a teenager in this. Like he was going back to his roots, 90s heartthrob Leo, but he pulled it off tremendously. And he did it next to Tom Hanks. But at the end of the day, this is his movie. Whereas Daniel Day-Lewis, I feel like stole the show more in Gangs of New York than Leo. I feel like Tom Hanks couldn't steal the show enough from Leo in this one. So that's why it's going to be my last pick here. And I just love this movie. I can't have this not be drafted. I love Catch Me If You Can. Yeah,
I like how he went up with Tom Hanks, and you could say arguably outperformed Tom Hanks in that movie. That's a huge deal. And with Christopher Walken, it's like powerhouse supporting actor performance there. I like that pick. I know you love that movie. That is like, based on when we were born, that was like 2002. That's when we first started to really hear about Leo, and then obviously against Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, like mid 90s, early 2000s, dominates. So it's that's where he got the recognition. Showed he can go again. He can star alongside these Titans. Great pick.
These Titans, love that.
Yeah, that's what they are. On to my fifth rounder, Mr. Irrelevant. I got to admit, I've never seen Gilbert Grape, so I cannot pick Gilbert Grape. The one Leo movie I have not seen. Dom Cobb, Inception. Dom Cobb. This is the 10th pick for a reason. The movie's unreal. It's a better movie than it is a performance with Leo, which isn't always the case. A lot of times it's not the case. But this was an absolute blockbuster, his biggest blockbuster since Titanic, and you could say. Teaming up with Nolan is obviously a huge deal. It's a great ensemble cast, and you could say like the ensemble was just on par with Leo, but I think his performance certainly doesn't hurt the movie. Certainly doesn't hurt it. Definitely has an interesting story for his own character in Inception to go alongside the spectacles that are of that movie, the effects and the accomplishments visually. So I'm going to go with Dom Cobb. I don't love it as my Mr. Irrelevant, but that's what I'm going to take. Any thoughts, Flicks?
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I think the movie itself is bigger than Leo.
Yeah.
So that's why I wouldn't have picked it. But I think that he was great in it. So I'm not going to bash the pick at all. Like it's hard to bet. You can't bash any of these picks. I'm saying like just compared to other Leo roles, I guess. But no, I love this movie. I love the pick. I love Don Cobb.
Gotcha. Yeah. So let's just go through these picks here and then let's go over these honorable mentions that we left off. So Ricky Flicks has Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street. He has Calvin Candy in Django Unchained. He has Howard Hughes in The Aviator, Hugh Glass in The Revenant, and Frank Abagnale Jr. in Catch Me If You Can. Dr. O has Billy Costigan in The Departed, Rick Dalton in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Teddy Daniels in Shutter Island, Jack Dawson in Titanic, and then Dom Cobb in Inception. Ricky Flicks, what are you most conflicted about leaving off the list here?
Yeah, so if I was in your shoes, do you know what I would have gone over Cobb? I would have gone Romeo.
Wow.
Yeah, I would have done it. I think that's a big, like, that's huge that Leo got that role. I think that's massive.
The Baz Luhrmann movie.
Yeah, I think that's
Claire Danes.
Shakespeare, the Montagues and the Capulets, modern day. Like they finally did a modern day Romeo and Juliet. Like,
L.A.
yeah, Verona Beach. Like I think that's huge for Leo, and I really like. I just think that was big for him, and I think that was like one where yes, Romeo and Juliet is like that's what every single romance goes off of, right? But I think that he ended up like, yeah, this is Leo, like this is him, and I know that it was an odd time for him, like definitely odd time because it was right before the Titanic,
Mm-hmm.
so it was like kind of, and it was right after Basketball Diaries, so still obviously heartthrob Leo, but I just feel that like if you're gonna take on a Romeo and Juliet and you're gonna like, I think that says something about you, and he did it. I think he did it very well.
That's an interesting pick. That one really didn't cross my mind. But that's like actually, I said Titanic like peak heartthrob. You could argue Romeo and Juliet was like peak heartthrob for
Oh
Leo,
yeah,
like opposite Claire Danes there. Um, Other ones here, No Gangs in New York Love as Amsterdam Valen.
hmm
Uh, I don't think Leo was that good in that movie, and I think
again,
he's completely overshadowed by Daniel Day-Lewis.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, so sorry if I interrupted you there.
No, no,
Um,
you said it.
but Gilbert Grape, you weren't going to take it. You've seen that movie, right?
No, I wasn't gonna take it. I think older Leo. I like older Leo. I'm gonna stay on that path. Maybe next time we do this, I'm sure we'll do this again. He has a couple bangers coming up. Kills the Flower Moon. He's playing Theodore Roosevelt that we
Is
just
he
keep
actually?
forgetting of. I think so, right? I think he's playing Theodore Roosevelt in a movie, and
What?
I think and Don't Look Up, he looks like a Theodore Roosevelt in the haircut and glasses. So I'm looking
Modern
forward to
day.
that. I think it's called Roosevelt. So and it
I
might
gotta
just
do
be a
some
rumor.
research.
That might just be a rumor.
It's got to be a
But
rumor. I would definitely know if Leo's playing. Maybe I don't. I don't know.
I'm looking forward to that. So I think after a couple more Leo movies, a couple more bangers, like we'll have to do a redraft because I think those have potential to take over some of these spots.
Did so I know you didn't like Don't Look Up, but I mixed in Randall Mindy as a potential Mr. Irrelevant here, but movie's too new. See how it lasts the test of time. This one's we can kind of marinate and like we can look at like roles like Blood Diamond, which he was nominated for, look back on and say, was it really one of his best? Was it really one of his best? I personally did not think it was. I like Leo with an accent, but not enough to put him in the top 10 for his
Not that
roles.
accent.
Um, that's all I got.
I'll say this as well. Just to go over some other, like Edgar. I mentioned in the Oscar bait draft, that was my first pick. Obviously wasn't going to get picked here, but that just seems like one, if you're just looking at it, Leo, J. Edgar, that should just work, right? And it didn't. And I think it's mainly because of Clint Eastwood's end and the actual movie of it, not his fault. Never would be picked here. Probably shouldn't have even mentioned it. But Leo has those type of movies on his resume where it should work out, but it doesn't. Revolutionary Road is another one, right?
Yeah.
Next to Kate
Well,
Winslet.
that's another one we should have. Yeah, that's the one we got to bring up too.
Next to Kate Winslet, the reuniting Titanic, and that just never worked out. The ending,
Sam Mendes.
crazy. Sam Mendes, thank you. Another one, The Great Gatsby. You just think that Leo, Jay Gatsby, it should
Gatsby.
work, right? Robert Redford, the great Robert Redford, was the last time that was on the big screen. Just didn't work. So I think there's a lot of those on Leo's resume, but I don't think that's necessarily his fault. But
It
they
always looks
wouldn't be
great on paper.
right. So it looks great on paper. It looks like, oh, that should be like a top 10 Leo role, but the movie itself just falls. So you can't even have it in consideration.
He's got a couple misses for sure. But at the same time, when you look at the 10 we drafted, like he doesn't like the ones that he does hit, they hit so hard. And his accuracy level is it's high. Like he's successful most of the time. His success rate, I should say. So it kind of outrules like those J. Edgars, right? And those Great Gatsby's and things like that. But like what could have been with like him as Gatsby, that still like haunts me. I'm like that should have lined up so well. It should have been a slam dunk.
The
Slam
fact
dunk.
that we mentioned Lana Del Rey in that movie before Leo in that movie is crazy.
Jesus.
Like the music. We mentioned the music about The Great Gatsby before Leonardo DiCaprio. That shouldn't be happening.
Shake my head. No, I hate that. That's gonna do it for our draft of Leo.
Fun episode.
Fun episode, and that's
Leo,
gonna do
baby.
it for episode 69 of the Drive-In Podcast. Yeah, make sure
Dr. O is here. Did not get abducted.
I did not get abducted. Thank you for clarifying, Ricky Flex. This make sure you subscribe to the pod on whatever platform you prefer to listen to, whether that be Spotify, whether it be Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, wherever you consume your podcast, we are available. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube for all content coming out, a couple videos a week. Along with that, make sure you're subscribed to the blog, all right, where we are putting out. First off, we got the 10 most anticipated movies of 2021 coming to you, 2022, excuse me, coming to you this week. Make sure you're following us on social media for some funny content on Twitter and Instagram, TikTok. We have to get more on board with the TikTok.
And happy birthday, Timothy Chalamet. December
happy
27th.
Birthday to our golden boy, Timothy Chalamet.
Dune Part 2.
That's going to do it for episode 69. Until next time, we will smell ya.